In the previous lesson, we learned about FSpy and created a room for our VFX animation. And in this lesson, we will learn how to create 3D models and create all the necessary objects for the scene. So let's get started. Okay, let's press num3 to go to the front view. Then press Shift+A and import the yogurt packaging image that you can find in the description below. And for greater convenience, we can move the image a little along the x-axis. Now I will show you how you can create every round package in a couple of minutes. This is probably the fastest way to create something from a reference in Blender. Okay, so to do that, we need to create a plane and rotate it 90 degrees. Then press M and select at center. Also, let's move the image to the center and move along the z-axis so that the bottom of this package is next to the 3D cursor. Okay, now let's select the plane, press A and E to extrude. I moved vertices a little because the reference in this part is dark and you might not see the faces. Okay, so let's move it to the reference and we need extrude and move the vertices to match the reference, repeating each corner of the package. Just press E to extrude and move the vertices according to the reference. And when we are done, it will look like this. And as you can see, it's not even close to a bottle of yogurt, but we can fix this in a couple of clicks. By going to Edit mode, pressing A to select everything, and select the Spin tool. And to see the magic, we need to make sure the Z-axis is selected, and now move this line. And in this menu, we can change the angle to 360 to make it absolutely round. And now the packaging is almost done. All we need to do is fill the holes at the bottom and at the top by pressing F. And also, to add more realism, we can select this face, and with proportional editing, we can move it along the Z-axis and adjust the radius by scrolling the mouse wheel. And as you can see, the proportional editing helps us move other faces around the selected. And now, to add more realism, let's add a Subdivision Modifier and increase level viewport to add more polygons. And also, because of the Subdivision Modifier, these edges become smoother, so we need to press Ctrl+R and add loop cuts around the edges to make them sharper. And we can also shade smooth. Now let's create this part of the bottle. Now let's select these faces, press Shift plus D to duplicate, and then P selection to make it a separate object. Then we need to select this object and add a Solidify modifier to add thickness to it. And we need to play with the thickness parameter. And also move the Solidify modifier up. Now let's repeat this button on the lid. And to do this, we need to duplicate these faces. And also make them separate object. Then go to the edit mode, select one of the edges, press Shift, Ctrl and plus, and click plus a couple of times to select these edges, and press Ctrl plus B to bevel it. And again, we need to select all these edges and bevel them again, but this time with fewer segments. Then we need to switch to the faces by pressing 3, and here we need to choose Extrude along the normals and pull that yellow dot. All that left to do is to add loop cuts and press Ctrl plus B to bevel it and make the edges on the top and on the bottom sharper. Then select all and press Shift plus S plus Z, and this will allow us to scale on every axis except of Z axis. And we need to add the last loop cut and scale it. And if you have this problem, you can turn on the X-ray and select those vertices and scale them up a bit. And this is what we ended up with. And we can simply connect this button to the lid by first selecting it, then with Shift selecting the bottle and pressing Ctrl plus J. Now let's quickly create a label. Go to the edit mode and select all the vertices with Alt where you want your label to end. And then right click and select Mark Scene. And also we need to do this at the top and select the edges where we want our label to start. And then select any face, press L and Shift plus D to duplicate it and make it a separate object. And now we need to add thickness to our label, so let's add a Solidify modifier. And again, play with the thickness parameter. And move Solidify modifier up. And here we need to add the loop cuts to make this a sharper and fix the shading issues. And in the bottom as well. And now our main object is created, and all that left to do is to select all objects except of the image and press M and create a collection for this bottle. And let's also save the entire project by pressing Ctrl plus S. Okay, let's create another object for our scene, namely the strawberry. to create a strawberry, we need to first create a cube, then go to the edit mode and turn X-ray. And with X-ray enabled, select the bottom edges and scale them. And then create a loop cut in the middle and also scale it a little bit. We also need to scale it on the X-axis to create the shape of the strawberry. And after we're done and happy with the result, let's add a subdivision modifier and set the level viewport to 3 and then apply it. Now we need to add another modifier called decimate. Then go to the unsubdivide, and relations increase to 1, and we can see this pattern and also apply it. Now let's add seeds to strawberries, and with all edges selected, press Ctrl+B to bevel. Then press Ctrl+I to invert it all, and then press E to extrude and S to scale. Alright, looking good, and now we need to open this tab, and instead of median point, select individual origin. And this will allow us to scale every selected face individually. So press S and scale it. Then press I to invert and scale it to the size of the seed. Now let's again open this menu at the top and choose median point again. And here we need to select extrude along the normals and extrude it. Then again choose the individual origins and scale it by pressing S. And to make it look more realistic, let's add a subdivision modifier. And also shade it smooth. And here we go, our strawberry is almost created. The last thing we can do is to change the shape using proportional editing. Just select any face you want and move it until you will have the shape of the strawberry, because this shape is too perfect. And after you're satisfied with the result, we can also rename our strawberry and create collection for it. Alright, let's create another object. And this time this will be apple. And apple is very easy to create. All we need to do is to create a UV sphere, and in edit mode select top and bottom vertices. And with proportional editing enabled, you just need to scale it on the axis. But make sure that you have median point as origin, otherwise it won't work. And this is basically it. All you need to do is to add more polygons. And for that we need to add a subdivision modifier. And to create the top part of the apple, let's go to the edit mode and select these vertices. Duplicate them, then press P selection to make them a separate object. Then select them, and we can also set origin to geometry and scale it again. Then we need to select these vertices, go to the edit mode and press A to select everything and E to extrude. And now all we have to do is to extrude and scale these vertices until they look like they do in real life. And also, if you have this problem, just select A to select everything and press Shift plus A. And here, press F to fill the hole and add a loop cut. And also shade it smooth. Don't forget to shade and smooth the other part of the apple. And when we are satisfied with the results, we can also create a collection for these two objects. Alright, this time let's create a banana slice. So let's add a reference of the banana, which you can also find in the description below. And here we need to focus on the left image, so let's select this image and move it to the center. Next we need to create a plane. Rotate it and scale it a little bit. For convenience we can turn on the X-ray and then we need to go to the edit mode and just move the faces according to the reference. And here we can add loop cuts to add more geometry and also move the vertices according to the reference. And when we are satisfied with the result, select our vertices and extrude them on X axis. And to make it look more realistic, let's add Subdivision Modifier. And as a regular, create a bunch of loop cuts to make the edges sharper. And to make the edges even more sharper, we can select all these faces and press I. And we need to do the same on the other side. And here we go, the slice of banana is created. And also let's create a collection for it. And you can hide or even delete the reference. And I know we've created a lot of objects and learned a lot of new things, but we don't stop there, and now you will learn how to create an ice cube very quickly. So for that, let's create a cube. Go to the edit mode and add a bunch of loop cuts by pressing Ctrl plus R. And then in this menu, we can increase the number of cuts from 10 to 17. Same thing we need to do on this side and also on this side. And let's add a new modifier, which called Displace Modifier, and click on New to create a new object. Then we need to go here to pick a texture, and in Type, choose Clouds. And in Size, we can make the texture more smoother or harder, and also we come back to the modifier settings, we can increase the strength and just play around with the parameters and see what suits you best. And once we're happy with the result, we can smooth it out and also add a subdivision modifier. And as for me, I want to make these edges more smooth, so I will just go to the edit mode, select all these edges and just press X, dissolve edges and delete them. And also in the type, you can choose whatever texture you want and then just limit yourself on clouds. Okay, once we established the look of the ice cube, let's apply the displacement modifier. And also we can use proportional editing to make the shape even more realistic. And this is the result that we got in the end. And we can also create a collection for it for more convenience. And now let's display all the objects that we created and hide them all. And probably scale them to more realistic size. The ice cube will be probably this size. The sliced banana will probably have this size. And the apple probably this size. Also, we can select this part of the bottle, then select the bottle itself, press Ctrl+P and click Object, Keep Transform. And the same we can do with label. And by doing this, if we select the bottle and move it, all the object will move with the bottle. And I almost forgot about strawberry. So let's also scale it. And also we can select this part of the apple, then select the apple itself, press Ctrl+P, Object, Keep Transform. And in this lesson we learned how to create 3D models with or without reference, and learned many new techniques, and created a food package, fruits and many objects that will create an amazing look for the main object in our animation. And in the next lesson we will add colors and textures to create wow effect and amaze our potential customers.